Mazeophobe is one of the new maps introduced by the 1-year anniversary into Phobies, and honestly, it's been the talk of the town since it released just a few days ago. Why is that? Well, I spent some time on stream because there are some extreme factors involved with this map. Let's get into it. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. Just to highlight, yeah, we'll just let this one. So this is on Mazeophobe, which just came into rotation. I'm very curious what people do, because this is viable for tomorrow, for Fright Night. Which, by the way, do people want a spoiler for Fright Night tomorrow? I have a spoiler. People want it. Just got Noxious Cinematic Ginsting for my first Dreadful, and they're only level 4 compared to my level 8-9 Phobies. I really want to use it, but I don't have the upgrade cards. I think that, like, Ginsting is probably playable there. Maybe even Noxious, especially if you have Gonzo, because then it's just like a big splash AoE. But if you don't have those, then I could see it. Like, there's some Phobies that, you know, it's a numbers game, right? The Squiggles opener, the classic Squiggles opener. Wait, chat, is this one of the contest winners as well? This is a big map for the record, as you can see. 5 keys. The Squiggles opener. They never seen Akune if they haven't seen the Squiggles opener. Has Akune been pushing the Squiggles opener? I didn't know it. Like, is this a thing now? So is there not a single new small map? Well, there are 3 maps. We only know 2 of them right now. I had 2 games, 2 games on this map, you mean? So here's the thing. This is a level 12 Squiggles. This is a level 16 Hevo. It's doing 1,000 damage. But this is going to take 3 hits to kill this Squiggles. So the Squiggles is going to get 2 hits on this heart, and, like, that's a lot of damage. 1 in 11 turns, this is in 8 turns. Did Hakune solve the meta already? I don't know that Hevo is the answer, but I do think it's appropriate to have a quick lob as a response. Squiggles up here is pretty safe, for the most part. But these are the sort of things, like... So, we'll probably talk about this map after this, because I have some thoughts already. I'm not excited for this map. I'm not going to lie. Alright, so technically this thing got eliminated, but you traded Squiggles for Jar. Seems to be another Heart Rush map. Yeah, I'm getting, like, strong Moai vibes out of this. Not for quite... Well, I guess basically the same reason, but clearly the configuration is different. You're an intense stare down with Master Dark in your Tiny Terrors game right now. It's too bad we didn't make them arena. I mean, I'm glad we're doing async so that we have different stuff. Wasn't I asking for Moai 2.0? Have you not been here when people are now memeing me because I always say Moai is quickly becoming my least favorite map? I mean, I wouldn't mind... If you're saying Moai 2.0, like a fixed Moai, as in corrected, then no, I wouldn't hate it. But blindly bum-rushing the heart like that... Well, maybe it isn't blindly, but... I understand why Alien Engineer didn't hang out in this game. So you kill one of these, maybe 2. You reclaim probably 1 panic point. So you're still down 4-2. Then, if you went to save the panic points, that means that you're not up here, which admittedly the Jar would have been the only thing that could go up here and help out, and even then it can't reach here. You have 2/3 rangers plus this, which is out of range. This is going to come in and has to, like, go here first, then go in. Yeah, get a little cap on that one. Yeah, this is giving me strong Moai vibes where, like, for better or worse, Parse is excited for this map. By the way, I had to start, but still have to test this player 1. Razor, pass, high 5, turn 2. Okay, so Razormouth would claim, like, this panic point, right? This is like what if Moai, but also Phobos. Can't stop high 5, turn 2. Like, so that's what I wanted to see. So high 5 would... You go Razormouth here. Razormouth will cap a second point. The points will probably end up being in favor of second player. So then you go high 5, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3. I don't know. So what lobbers can hit it? You could have a lobber here. You could have a jar here or here. And high 5 is not going to leech life. How much health does a large map heart have? Like 8k, 9k? 9k? Yeah, I mean, you could crunch the map, the math for the map and see, like, how quickly can you take it down depending on your personal high 5 level or squiggles for that matter. But the only other way to get at this stuff, I guess, is... Because I was going to say this earlier. Is Gravedigger a reasonable response on defense here? Well, that's what we're walking through, Urk. Like, I'm being facetious about this where Hakune solved it. I mean, don't get me wrong. This seems exceptionally stupid. That's why I don't like the way this looks. But the map has only been out for, what, like literally 1 day? Gargles, me and Cars already did a partial talk. That's not a bad idea. I don't know if this map is an excuse to bring Tiny Tim. On defense or offense? I mean, I don't hate the idea of burrowers. The problem is to get a burrower up here is it's like... You have to come around the top. Well, I guess you could go... So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd be here. Then it's 1, 2. And if it's high 5 here, the high 5 is hitting your... Moly Bully or Tiny Tim, potentially. Gargles can protect the heart if you need it to... If you need... So, but that's not... Okay, so let's assume, for the sake of argument, that Gargles works. I haven't, like, fully processed it, but let's assume for the moment that Gargles works. I don't know that that's better. Like, that's just, okay, we're stacking dumb on top of dumb. You know what I mean? So, Gargles protects your heart by boxing them out. You know, you dump Gargles right here, and then you punch the heart. Yeah, it's only theories, but, like, I'm just running with it for the sake of, you know, talking about it. Let's say, no, we could do this, chat. We haven't done this in a while. We're going to leave this up, even though it was the game we just looked at, because it's not that important for the map, but it gives you some context. So the thing here is that, and the joke is, well, maybe not joke, but what Hakune was suggesting is an early high 5 going first, and then just beelining for the heart. And what exactly can you hit a high 5 with? Well, if we look at what's already set up here, if we assumed a high 5 here, this can hit it. Now, earlier in the game, Alien Engineer's Jar died, but a Jar could hit it. And, like, that's it. Now, high 5 has a lot of HP, but it's not invulnerable. You can eventually kill it. But I don't think any given lobber... Like, what's the highest damage lob phobie? Any key cost, anything. I'm not sure it's Hevo 3.0, just because you lose some damage due to you can't stack the fire. But I don't know what lob beats it, pound for pound, you know what I mean? Chat, fill me in, but I'll keep talking as we're explaining. Chuck. Okay, Chuck is reasonable. Chuck is reasonable. Klepto does more damage. I think Klepto and Crushmore are the same damage-wise. So where I'm going with this is we'd have to calculate whatever the highest, well, technically, yeah, I mean, yes, I get, but Chuck is the most. Yeah, Mildred aside, but yes. Well, so is Chuck is slow also, so don't get me wrong, I get the argument. But Chuck may be reasonable here in general, but remember, here's the important part with the Chuck plan is you're doing it so fast that by turn 2, is your opponent going to, even if they respond with Chuck, are they responding quickly enough to march it from here? Whoop, wrong way. From here to here? Well, in range? I don't know. Or the other way around, from here to here. I think Klepto or Crushmore is probably a more reasonable response because you could more likely fit those in on a given turn in the course of regular play. That sort of thing. If player 1 banks Chuck high 5, I'll do the same. Well, that brings up the Gargle's defense, which, I mean, you can't do that if high 5 is there because high 5 will be occupying the space. But against this, where you have a bunch of ranged phobies here, which shortly to be here, to this spot, and then the jar, like there's a lot of things that get locked out by Gargles for a few turns, and that allows you to win the race if you are swinging in here and just pulverizing their heart. I mentioned it earlier, but I don't like the look of this map because it feels like it's swinging the pendulum initially wildly in one direction. I was thinking 2.0 and Tim defense, but I think it's expensive. That is expensive, but here's something interesting about this map if that becomes a viable counterplay. So say your opponent, and this is something that should be happening in basically every Phobies game, but I don't know that a lot of people do. I don't know that a lot of people do this, but you need to read your opponent's openers. So for example, if your opponent's going to try and do a turn 2 high 5 and rush it to the heart, that seems oppressive, right? How the hell am I going to kill that thing? It's going to just crush my heart, and there's not enough real estate here and Phobies available to kill a Chuck that's positioned here. Okay, well, we're suggesting, or Big She was suggesting 2.0 and Tim. Well, if you don't have Tim, put that aside for the moment. But 2.0, if you see your opponent go turn 1, Razormouth, pass, they're banking for something big, right? Maybe you don't go all out and try and cap every panic point then, because you can't easily defend this area, or up here for that matter, depending on what order this goes in. Turn 1 Squiggle cannot be stopped, can be killed, but before death, Squiggle will deal at least 1 to 2k damage guaranteed. Probably. But this goes into one of my earlier points, and something that comes up frequently, is that the maps dictate what phobies are valuable or not. And they will change, even if it's not, oh, well, this was S tier and now it's F, or vice versa. It could even change the ordering within tiers, or move it up a couple tiers, or down a couple tiers. And Squiggles, for the most part, I mean, come on. Squiggles was a meme. Finally, people who crapped on Squiggle can be happy. I mean, that's exactly where I'm going with this. People need to be careful what they wish for, because the problem is similar to whenever Russell comes up. Everyone says, well, not everyone, but a lot of people say, well, Russell needs to get buffed because Russell just sucks. And how can you, and it's like, or when you see any of the insane balance discussions, and believe me, there are some, they're not all insane, but there's a lot that are just out there. And it's like, no, it is not okay to make some of these changes, or even to try some of these changes, because do we want to live in a world where turn 1 Squiggles beeline to heart? Although Hakune didn't do that directly in this game, but this was a surprise 8-turn game. 8-turn game between Hakune and Alien Engineer. Like, are we okay with that being the norm? Probably not. Now, do I believe that that is going to be the norm long term? I don't know. I mean, Squiggle's doing, say, 2K to the heart on an 8K map. I don't know. Maybe that's still acceptable. Maybe it's not. I'm truthfully unclear at this point in time whether that is sustainable or not. My initial inclination is that this map is Moai 2.0, as chat was busting me about earlier. And yeah, I'd be fine with a reworked Moai, but I'm not super excited about this from a personal play pattern perspective. But Hakune is bringing up a good point. It's still interesting. All big maps were slow. Maybe finally having a fast one could be interesting, or at least to shake it off. I don't know that I'd agree all big maps are slow. Phobos has a reputation, for example, for being pretty, well, I guess being oppressive, but it tends to end pretty quickly, comparatively. And Mount Blight also can be very quick games, but the general sentiment, I think, is fair. And I've said this on many occasions, even if I don't personally like a map, and I put it out there all the time, I'm fine with the map style, the map plan, the map layout, the map strategy existing as a thing. I think it's healthy to say, encourage different things on different map types. That allows people all over the ladder to utilize different phobies and have certain things exist. But as I was saying earlier, I think people need to recognize that ultimately, be careful what you wish for, because maybe the world in which Squiggles, like maps where Squiggles is good, aren't going to be the most fun maps. I'm guessing I'm not going to enjoy this one that much personally, but people that are enjoying this sort of plan are going to love it. And I think that's important that the game allows for that to exist. Part of the reason why I like the idea in my events, Fright Night, Tiny Terrors, etc., of having map bans. I've considered not doing them before, but, you know, I think it's healthier to have that opportunity so that you could have, you know, like tomorrow in Fright Night, if Hakune has this pocket strategy and people aren't watching this stream right now, they may not be prepared. And Hakune is just going to beeline Squiggles and be like, all right, I'm taking my free win. And that's good strategy. The way it works. It's interesting because it makes you evaluate things, though. Having a map where going straight for the heart is a valid strategy might actually be healthy. Yes, the general idea, I think, is because then the metagame rotation, as you would see in card games, is going to evolve. Because is the Squiggles / High Five opener uncounterable? It's unbeatable. I highly doubt it. It's going to look insane, but it's probably not unbeatable. Therefore, okay, my opponent has banked on 1. They are going to play High Five on 2. I respond with this. And now you're crapping on everybody that opens with High Five. So then all the High Five players need to adapt and go, well, I've been losing with this. Instead of bashing your head against the wall, come up with a new plan. And then things start rotating. The issue becomes when it's like super hard rock, paper, scissors. And I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but, you know, we'll have to see. But I do think it's healthy to have these different options represented. I missed some other stuff in chat. On this map, even microscopic could be an idea. Wiggy and AWOL rushing damage. Maybe. Microscopic would take a long time, so 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns on the 4th turn. Not ridiculous, but Wiggy and AWOL would be challenging because if your opponent responds with something like this, they're going to kill it in 1 volley. So you maybe get 1 hit, but if you're just suiciding the phobies in, maybe that's enough. Stairmaster, yeah, this would be a case where Stairmaster would beat Cyclops because you just position it, you know, you get a Stairmaster here or here, and like, hey, all right, I'm lighting the heart up. I'm Eye of Sauroning everything. Fish tank. The poor man's High Five, I guess. If the strategy is to throw damage to the heart, how do you optimize the key to damage ratio? I think you just accept your stuff dies, but how optimized can it be? I think it's going to take time to calculate, because that's why I was asking earlier, like, what is the appropriate response? So if we assume, I had to put the right window in focus. If we assume that there is a high five here, or squiggles or whatever, what is your lobbing answer in order to lob over here, to try and pop it? Depending on what that is, that'll dictate. It might be better to burn AWOLs and wiggies and stuff like that rather than sink it into a high five. I find that unlikely, but maybe it is. Or maybe it doesn't matter. Like you said, you just keep incinerating keys, and it's like you can't keep up. Now, the thing is that if you don't have, as Hakune did in this game, right now you don't see a big panic point advantage, but at one point, Hakune had all of these. If you don't have that, and you're just flinging keys at the heart, you probably lose that exchange. Not necessarily because they're pressuring, but you're going to run out of keys, I think. But if you supplement it like Hakune did, like whether it's squiggles or it's high five here, it doesn't matter. These other three are all connecting. Just put a stabby over the enemy's heart, who cares? So you're saying they put a high five here on turn 2. Your answer is to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then start hitting the heart. I'm sure you're memeing, but like, and no, the high five won't make it there turn 2, but it'll be 1 move, 2 move. So that's turn 1. Turn 2, it's in position, I guess, technically. Well, turn 3, because they played it on turn 2. Ando will just throw booms to the heart. My one keys did a good job of controlling points. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I wonder how much... I almost wonder if the better answer is to just shove through here and try and fight it this way, because obviously there's way less surface area going this way, right? Like, you can only get 1 lobber here, maybe 2 with a jar. Your flyer has to go like here before you can really do something. But maybe it's just come up with a decent enough force and shove. The problem is that, so they can pop something out of vault and go right here. And obviously you have to advance through this hail of fire from whether it's Innocuous or Jar or whatever. But your opponent, in this case, Alien Engineer, was really divided between trying to fight for the points. And I pointed that out when we were talking about the game, trying to fight for the points here and here, or fight this. And it's going to be a tough decision, because you can't just say, oh, well, I sent Hevo here. Hevo's up here, and Hevo's going to control the day. Well, guess what? Hevo can't even reach this guy. Bo is just over here giggling like an idiot. You can throw directly Morty as the second player. So you just... So here's the question, chat. Does an on-level Morty... How much damage does High Five have at level 1 to the heart? I have to imagine it's more than 700. I'm pretty sure Morty is 700 damage at level 1. Somebody will have to correct me. 900? So realistically, because of how long the High Five would take to kill, it should get more hits than the Morty. Alien Engineer started the game with a classic mindset, take middle with Snowball, play Razor, immediately went with my idea. And I think that's part of the metagame shift and rotation that I was describing, is that I don't think it's unreasonable, and I don't know how many games Alien Engineer has on this map so far, but it's not unreasonable to go, I'm going to take the center so that you can't, and then I'll pull back and claim this or something and do whatever. And that's where these pocket strategies come in, and that's why I keep saying, like, adapting to your opponent's opener. What are they doing and how do you respond? You could tell when the Hevo came out, or at least I could, that we knew going in. We saw 8 turns. We knew Hakune won, but the Hevo was not going to be sufficient. It just doesn't do enough damage. And I think this is similar to Moai, again, that if you under-defend, you're just going to lose. You're just going to lose. You're going to have to react, possibly overreact, and then just hope that you didn't swing it too far. I guess the question becomes, how much did they win because of the map, and how much of it was based on who went first? You need to play hundreds of games on the map, specifically between the two players, an equal number of games going first to know. Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely part of it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to play hundreds. I think you can. I mean, I would want to, because I like that sort of thing, to iron out any potential wrinkle, but you can assess it in way less games. Like, a good player could go, well, this happened because of this sort of thing, if we were trying to do an objective assessment. But if we're just going to slam huge quantities of games, then yeah, it can absolutely be done in either fashion, I guess. But that doesn't necessarily, I mean, the going first, going second thing would be a problem. But if this strategy is valid, like, if the strategy wins and the better player can't counter it, is it a overpowered strategy? I mean, I guess in that case it would be, because it's like there is no counter. Or is it just by virtue of, like, let's say the quote-unquote weaker player, we play 10 games in a row on this map. The weaker player does that strategy every time. And then the stronger player, quote-unquote, cannot figure out a way to beat it, but somebody else does. We end up with this weird triangular relationship of who's the better player, possibly. Because I'm going to do the same stupid thing that I do on Moai. And this kind of goes back to my earlier point. This is part of the reason I don't like Moai, is the vast majority of my games on Moai have been heart rushes, one way or the other. And yes, I even lost a game to Hakune. I remember acing, this is going back several seasons, where I remember making an error that cost me the game, but I basically block them off with Crushmore and then just wail on the heart until the game ends. There is no decision making. It's 100. So this is where things start getting weird for these sort of discussions, because it's not bad. I'm just doing this so it doesn't come up with the thing about the client disconnecting again. If you look at tactical and strategic decisions on a spectrum, where strategy, as in, I'm not playing the game, but I'm thinking about the game. I'm looking at the map up here and deciding that turn 2 high 5 is viable. That is my strategy going into the game. I'm going to try and do this. And tactics are the moment-to-moment, turn-to-turn individual decisions you are making. And you put them at opposite ends of a spectrum. They aren't necessarily, because you could have something that's highly strategic and highly tactical, or no strategy and no tactics, whatever. You get the idea. But in this discussion, we're going to say that there are opposite ends of the spectrum. How much value needs to be placed on strategy and how much value needs to be placed on tactics? Because that is also going to be a thing people like or don't like. If you lean one way or the other to too far of a degree, and you eliminate the value of the other one, I think that's negative. So in this case, let's assume that the high 5/squiggles plan is ridiculous. Like, it is super powerful. That takes, like, all the decision making in the game out of it, like in game, because your response is, I'm going squiggles high 5. If you don't respond with A, B, or C, you lose. It doesn't matter. Any combination of phobies other than this specific answer set is game over. Now, you could argue every game is like that, because there clearly is going to be a best and worst and in between set of decisions, but it is rarely so stark as it is what appears on this map and what I've seen on Moai. which that has a whole host of questions for tournaments. What should be emphasized? Should tournaments be forced across a wide variety of maps to see who's best as adapting, or a single map to see who has the best performance on this particular scenario? I think you can do both. So I'll come back to that, Atona. There were a couple other comments that I wanted to talk about, but on Moai, it's slower. You have more turns to play tactical, and High Five needs a slightly better push. This map is on Red Bull. It's slower, but I don't think it's that much slower, Akune. I mean, I don't think High Five is viable on Moai for a number of reasons, but I can't tell you. I legitimately, I don't know what my win rate is on Moai, but I promise you it's really high. And I do zero thinking on that map. Like, literally zero. I have the identical game plan. I go in, I rush their heart. I don't even try to react to anything they do. It doesn't matter. On this map, you cannot Brony, you cannot Heartbreaker, you just can't. It's scary and thrilling at the same time. So here's one of the things I was going to point out earlier. This is going to be a nightmare to edit, for the record. But, like, is it worth Crushmooring or Gravediggering these? So that way you can get other stuff? Because then, hypothetically, like, I mean, it would take forever. And Squiggles kind of invalidates us because Squiggles is already on the heart. Yeah, I kind of agree that Digger and Crushmore feel too slow, but I wonder. Because you'd have to get 2 breaks, and I don't even know that it's beneficial, but say you break these 2, and like these 2, defensively, we're saying. So then a Heartbreaker is here, and it goes 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and then you just plop something right in the void. I feel like that just takes too long. Like, it's just not going to happen. But, I mean, you know. Is it faster to go through the center? We were talking about that before, that if you tried to go through here to circle, like, try and come from behind, the problem is that they have your reinforcements and just, like, the bulk of your forces have to travel so far to then get cut off by them. I feel like it's just not going to work out. If you're going first and you don't go Squiggles, you do whatever, and your opponent going second goes Squiggles and, you know, caps a panic point, they move it up here, they do this, whatever. Doesn't matter, but there's just Squiggles on the board. You clearly have to react to it, right? If they don't go Squiggles, that's where I think this is one of those maps that really emphasizes, again, to beat the dead horse, the strategic decisions and your phobie choices. You have to manage them, because if you respond incorrectly, I don't think you have enough time. Like, you're just gonna die. I honestly don't know how to stop the enemy Squiggle. So what lobs cost 5 or less? It's Evo. It's Jar. It's Spud. It's is there another one I'm forgetting? Yeah, Unbearable's way too slow. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Squiggle has already hit your heart twice, and it may not even kill it. You want to invest Spud and Jar for Squiggles? I don't think it might not be unreasonable. And the reason I say that is, like, you're probably playing Jar anyway, right? The bigger issue is that the 2-cost Squiggles that's probably hanging out right here so that it can run in and hit something whenever you walk away is tying up 5 keys worth of stuff. But in this case, the Squiggles was tying up 5 keys worth of stuff anyway. Oh yeah, Leapercarn, although that's in the Unbearable boat. Unless it has way more damage than I'm remembering. You're still investing more to protect something that still keeps being discovered. The thing is that it buys you time, though. It buys you time. So I agree, and we talk about this a lot, like, you don't want to defend with more keys than are threatening you if you can help it. But if the alternative is lose the game, like, all right, well, you got to do what you got to do, right? Chuck seems like an instant GG on this map. It certainly would not be easy. So here's the question. Say there's a Squiggles. It's either here or it's getting there very quickly. You go Spud. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Spud will end up here eventually, right? You went early on, because remember, we're assuming you went first. You went Snowball to the center. Is there a way to get the snowball and the spud to connect, and would that even be enough on level? Because that's the big thing, is how much damage do we need on level? If your opponent has a level 28 squiggles, guess what? You lose. Get out of it. You're just dead. There's nothing you're doing. It doesn't matter. You're just dead. So we have to make some assumptions here, right? So the question is, can a spud and a snowball kill an on-level squiggles, either with one hit or fireball plus 2 hits, something like that? Hopefully I play squiggles and you're toasted. Well, yep. You are donezo. But so a snowball would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the question here becomes, is a snowball on this space safe? We have to assume again that they leave an open path open and we already have the spud or whatever in place. And then on top of it, then the numbers even work out. Maybe. Heavy emphasis on the maybe. Right now, I'm not super excited about this one. Don't get me wrong, when I win on this map and I beat people's ass with squiggles, I'm gonna laugh. It's not like I'm not gonna have fun doing it, but it's gonna be infuriating when the games boil down to let's just ignore each other. That's the thing in card games, is people always complain about interaction or lack thereof, and most people don't really understand what they want, but that's another discussion. I don't have the voice strength to do this. If you're not interacting, aka you're both just, do it this way, you're both just beelining for each other's hearts. I have to kind of make a weird shape to do it, but you're just swinging up here, and I'm just swinging here. And we're not interacting at all, for the most part. Maybe there's a lobber here and here. That feels kind of dumb. Card games are mostly about figuring out how to optimize not playing the game fairly. That's a general strategy. Yes. And I think that's the same for Phobies or any game. The goal is to win the game. The goal is not to play fair. Now, we're not saying cheating or hacking or something like that. Nobody's talking about that. And when we say break the game or something like that, we're talking about doing something unfair because it's so powerful, not because I have cards up my sleeve or I'm hacking the game and my Innocuous is doing 400 damage more than it should. That's not what we're talking about. But you could argue that the squiggles play is breaking this map. And you know what? Good. If it turns out it's busted, that's the devs' problem, not the players. That is the devs' problem. They need to fix it because no one else can fix that. Assuming that it is actually broken. And obviously we need to put it through its paces. But I'm fine with trying out different formats to see what makes sense. That's why I'm trying a lot of different things, because I don't know that the ideal format has been settled on. I like the idea of map bans, for example, because of this map. This reinforces that map bans should exist. Let's say that Hevo 2.0 is the only answer on this map. I'm not saying it is. Not saying it is, but let's assume for sake of argument. Evo 2.0 is the answer. You don't have it? Get f***ed. That's not an appropriate answer. That's not the way that it should be. So I want to keep the map bans because, okay, phobie bans, you're going to burn your phobie bans on squiggles and high five. That feels worse to me than just banning the damn map. And banning the map doesn't really impact anyone other than, okay, there's your level of strategizing that you can say, I'm not going to let these maps through, sort of thing. I could absolutely see, Hevo 3.0 or 2.0 could be really pivotal here because of the boop. It's not just a lob, but it also displaces, meaning that they get one less attack. That is way more relevant than merely a lob. Is that actually the answer? I don't know. I mean, we still have a lot of the map came out yesterday, so I'm with you. I get what you're saying, Eric, but it's, even if it were 4 different phobies, we're now, especially if, say, 2 of them were ultra rare or something like that. Now, there's always going to be a collection problem. There's nothing we can do about that. Like, I can't run a event and try and, like, take a poll of all the participants and pre-ban stuff. That's just going to get exceptionally stupid. At a certain level, we just have to say, look, if you have a small collection, you're going to get your ass handed to you. That's the way it is. Setting everything to level 1 helps. But it doesn't solve all the issues. But at the end of the day, if we get into these maps where there are hyper-linear strategies, such as Squiggles High Five, and we try and answer these things with whatever. If it's a linear strategy, they tend to have linear answers. And this is just based on general game experience, not particularly Phobies, but in general, if you have this super overpowered strategy and it has like Death Star level Achilles heel, that's the only thing that beats it, or tends to be the case. If that is true, and you don't have, the proton torpedoes to drop in the Death Star exhaust port, guess what? You're just boned. And that is the only way to respond to that is, all right, I'll ban the map, and then we'll play a fair game somewhere else, or an unfair game if you have a strategy for a different map. That's why I'm okay with these sort of maps existing if we have a map ban system in place. Otherwise, I think maps like this boil down to whose stupid-ass strategy still works after Phobie bans. And maybe it's possible, you ban High Five and Squiggles, and then your opponent bans something else, and now all the dumb-dumbness is gone. Or we could just get rid of the fucking map and move on with our lives. Like, instead of doing 4 or 5 things, let's do 1. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Those were my initial thoughts on Mazeophobe, not even 24 hours after the map was revealed. We only got to watch 1 game, but what are your thoughts on it? Let me know down in the comments, or of course you can hit up the Randoms Thoughts Discord. The link for that and the live stream are in the description, down by that like and subscribe button. But that's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.